done in love like
Hey guys, we're Kristen and Jarrell Abraham.
Welcome back.
This is Jarrell. I'm Kristen.
I hope you knew that. I do. Hope you knew that.
Okay, excuse me. Hey guys, we're Kristen and Jarrell Abraham.
Welcome back, guys.
Thank you for tuning in. Be sure to subscribe to this channel and follow us on Insta.
My Instagram is JCA Official. What's yours?
Kristen Nicole Official. We also have Yahweh Music LLC, so be sure to tune in. All right, so we did Black People Don't Tip, Myth versus Fact. And so I thought it came to me that there's also a myth that people with dietary restrictions are difficult. All right, so we wanted to do a myth or fact to this part. So when we go out to eat, we notice that people automatically, I don't know if it's that they get nervous or they get annoyed with people that have dietary restrictions.
Right.
So we purposely look at the menu to make sure they offer gluten-free options, that they've got some vegan options, they got some dairy-free options, all kind of stuff. And then we decide we're going to go and we're going to eat there. Then we go. And then we get there. And then the people don't know anything about what we're asking. We want to know what these symbols are on the menu, because sometimes you can look online and then the physical menu looks a little bit different, or they try to say we don't have that today. So then we have to know, what do you have today that we can eat? So then it becomes a thing where we're being difficult, but we're not being difficult because your establishment says that you can service someone of my palate with dietary restrictions.
Right.
So I legitimately just want to know, what can I eat? And why that translates into you're being difficult, I'll never know.
My question to that is, like, let's say, you know, in our case it's being gluten-free, you know, and occasionally we do go vegan.
Yeah.
We do all these other things
But it's mainly
correlate with being gluten-free, because a vegan diet could be in correlation with. But chances are there are things in a vegan diet that actually would bother your stomach if you were gluten-free, that like, you know, particulars that you still would have to stay away from, but they would be classified or categorized as being in a vegan diet. If you go to a restaurant that says that, you know, they offer gluten-free options, or they go as far as to say they have a whole gluten-free menu, a menu that's dedicated to people with this specific dietary restriction. And then it's like, when you ask them, do you have this? Oh no, we don't have that. Do you have this? Oh, we don't have that today. Do you have that? Oh, we ran out of that last week. It's like, well, what do you have? And does this mean you're not gluten-free today?
The worst is that product has been discontinued.
Right. So why is it still on the menu? You know? But I think really it's not necessarily true or untrue. Like, it's untrue just for the simple fact that there's a misconception and a miseducation. That's it.
I think that's the biggest thing.
It's a miseducation with the people who eat that way, like according to dietary restrictions. Because sometimes they don't know what they're eating or why. They might just be doing it because everyone else is doing it.
I know. And we get those questions a lot. Is this an allergy or...
Is this an allergy, or are you just gluten-free by choice? What does it mean to be gluten-free by choice? Like, who chooses to be gluten-free anyway? You know what I'm saying? It's like, I don't even know. But it's like, if you're gluten-free, you're gluten-free. If you're not gluten-free but you eat gluten-free food, you like whatever that is. You know what I mean? So
it's the same thing.
Well,
because my thing is, whether you have an allergy or not, if you are trained to prepare the food a certain way because someone is specifically ordering it because they have a dietary restriction, whether it's a strict allergy or because they're following a strict diet, is irrelevant. Because it's the same thing. They're purposely ordering it that way for a reason.
Well, what those people mean to ask is, do you have a gluten sensitivity? Or will you die if we give this to you? Do you have celiac? You know what I'm saying? But when it comes to a peanut allergy, they don't ask you that. You know? When it comes to, give me another one. Like when it comes to,
I don't know.
what else is as severe as peanut?
Shellfish.
When it comes to shellfish allergy, they don't ask you that. Like, hey, you allergic to this? Oh, you're swelling up. Like, they'll know.
Right.
They'll know. They'll see you blinking and it's bad. So, for us, it's kind of like, it shouldn't even be that type of thing where you don't know what you're talking about when you're talking about it to us. And that's on both sides of the spectrum. We've spoken to people who are seeing dietary restriction and they don't know why. And we've given them facts and they were like, oh, I didn't know that, right? But then when they started off the conversation, I've been gluten-free for 20 years, right? So we told them like certain things that we learned about it and they're like, oh, really? And it was just kind of like, well, you had a lot of time to...
It was this emoji.
Right, you had a lot of time to check this out and look it up. And then they would be like, oh, that's why I have digestive problems or constipation or, excuse me for getting into detail, but that's why they would say these things. And they'd be like, well, you've been gluten-free for 20 years, but you may have to adjust this now because you were still doing something that didn't work for you. So it's a miseducation on that side of it, where you've got people with dietary restrictions who don't understand the ins and outs of why they eat that way. And I encourage you guys, go to a doctor, go to a GI, go to no, listen. Go to somebody who's going to give you some real concrete facts that's going to tell you why you should eat the way you're supposed to eat. And then the people who serve the food, please get educated. Educate yourselves on what you're trying to offer or don't offer it.
That's my thing. I will know not to go to that establishment because they don't have anything that is gluten-free or anything that can be modified to my dietary restriction.
Yes.
But if your menu says that I can eat there because it's got the GF on it, or it indicates that it can be modified, when I get there, don't act like I shouldn't be there and I'm being difficult because I got to fact check.
And listen, we cook gourmet, okay? We cook. So don't have me come into your establishment and you act like I'm being difficult with you. Me being difficult is me staying at home cooking for myself, okay? Because that's easy for me and difficult for you. You know what I'm saying? So there's no way you can say that we're being difficult if we choose to be patrons. If we choose to come into your establishment and actually spend money there.
Right. So it's kind of like I said with the whole black people don't tip thing. That's why sometimes stuff. So for real, that's why sometimes we just go out and we just decide that we're gonna grab something to drink,
right,
or grab an appetizer or something. I mean, you can't really mess up chips too bad.
You can mess up chips and fries from what we've experienced. We've seen it.
Right.
We've seen it.
Alright, so those are bad examples.
Right, but for further information, please revert back to our previous episode. Which one was it? Black people don't tip. Alright, so.
Well, these are just some of the reasons why we may not be tipping. Alright, but seriously, we thank you for joining us again for Myth versus Fact.
Yes.
And God bless.
God bless you. We'll see you next time.
All right.